Blessed, blessed, blessed. How are you? How are you doing today? Today I want to just share some of my experiences. So, I grew up I grew up on the island. I grew up in Jamaica and came to the came to the United States when I was 21. Yeah. So I actually spend my adult life here, my childhood in Jamaica and my adult life here in the States. So I had a lot of questions when I was growing up. I had a lot of questions about God. Um, and so when I asked the pastor, like, why wasn't God in balance with his emotions? Why was God angry and God, and why you had to fear God and all those things? And so I didn't quite understand it. It didn't make like sense to me. Because I was working on balancing my own emotion. And I'm saying, so if God can balance his emotion, what is that saying for all the other beings? Because they had given us the wrong definition of God and telling us that we must give our souls to God. And it just did not make sense to me. And so when I started questioning, so by the time I turned 17, 18, I had renounced God and stopped, wasn't going to church like many other people who grew up in the church. By the time you get to a certain age, then you just like abandon it because that does not make sense to you. It makes sense in the sense of the gathering, the communal, the coming together, the gathering of people sharing, and looking out for each other and those kind of things. Those are all good. But it was under a false pretense. So the gathering was good, the coming together, the fellowshipping, the singing, the dancing, all of those things was nice things to keep the mind occupied and things like that. But the innate curiosity that is within us, it pacifies the curiosity, and I did not want my curiosity to be pacified. So when I left Jamaica and I came to the United States, I was still seeking because I thought someone must know this truth about our existence and how we came into being. Because from a very young age, I was having a lot of profound experiences, visions and things was happening. I could see things, I could see around people's energy fields and all of these things, the flowers, the things. So what was being told to me did not make sense to me. And I'm saying that the things that the life is speaking to me and teaching me, but what has been programmed into my mind, it is a conflict within me. And so I started writing out my question. Who am I? Why am I here? Where did I come from? How do I get here? Because it puzzled me, because I said, I know that we have to leave this body. Something inside us have to leave this body and go. Where does it go? And I was very curious about that, and I really wanted to know the truth. I did not want to be pacified. And so this is how my inquiry started. And for years I did that self-inquiry. And through self-inquiring, this was how I awake the God self, the great I am. And so when the great I am rised up and spoke to the mind, it was during a meditation, like a breathing. I used to do breathing meditation. At that time, I did not know anything about the traditional meditation of what people talk about now. I was just doing some breathing exercises because I did not know anything about like how today's culture is about meditation. It was just me doing stillness and breathing exercise, because from childhood, I was always having stomach issues. My stomach was always very sensitive, and I was just always having stomach issues. If something was going to go wrong, I would start feeling it in my stomach first, and then I would start to get weak, and so it was just taking a toll on me, my stomach. And so by this time, maybe I was 28 or something like that. And then, so I started having this feeling of I was dying, but I didn't quite understand it. Like there's something inside of me that wanted to die, but I did not. There was no one to explain to me. I was having a lot of visions, a lot of things was happening. There was no one. I searched and searched. Even the visions I had, I looked, tried to find what the meaning was. There was no one to explain anything to me. And I did not understand, like no one to talk to about it. And so some things I blocked out because it was just too profound with the energies that, I was having a battle with one being, which I later found out was one of the gods, and was one that I was had conflict with way back in ancient Egypt. So he kept tracking me down, because I remember him saying to me, "I told you that I would find you," and so every lifetime he would track me down and find me, and then I would have to leave and come back. But this time, while he found me, I was being more prepared. And the Supreme Primalite was helping me all along, but I did not know, because someone would appear inside of me and would be talking to me, like would be telling me things, because I'm questioning within myself, and there's an answer coming to me. And so throughout this time, me questioning within myself, but I never knew that it was the Self Supreme Primalite who was always visiting me and answering my questions. And so she does this to all of us, because we are all the aspect of herself. But do we listen? But because I was a seeker, and I was listening, because the answers that was being given to me made perfect sense to my life, and compared to what was being told, what was programmed within the mind. And at that time, I still did not know the difference between the mind and the spirit, because I kept wondering, where was the spirit inside the body, and how come I need to find it, because I was still confusing the mind with the spirit. Yeah. And so then when the spirit was left the body during sleep and was coming back in, this was how the Primalite showed me what I saw the self, and the mind together in one sheet, and the mind was in the front, and this was how I understood how they are attached together, the mind and the self, and the self was obscure behind the mind. And so this was how the self was, Primalite was showing me. So every time I would ask a question, like when I would sleep before I wake up in the morning, when I open my eyes, the first day I would, before the self return back into the body, this was when I would get the truth of what I need to know, or some words will be spoken to me and what I need to say. And for years this continued like this, and then I was still like battling with the God, because every time I would be renewed with the energy, because my crown chakra was open. I had all my chakras was open and balanced, because once the great I am rised up, and the guru inside, you don't have to worry about chakras and all of those things. It just balances your whole body. But the being was coming, and then he started making I would say something within my belly, and he would come in and suck out all of my light. Every time I would renew my, he would come and suck it out, and I said something is wrong. Every time I'm laying down trying to do a meditation, there's a being, something that's coming into the body and sucking out. So for some years, then I stopped meditating, and because I said, and so I started now focusing on making sacred circles, to put the sacred circles around me, because I did not really understand. So this is the problem with the journey, especially if you're not like fully awakened. And so even though why the I am, because what was happening was when the great I am arise, the soul was in slavery to the same God, and he had the soul because he had taken it, and the soul was saying that it's in slavery and want to be free. And so I started fighting with him now to free the soul. And so there was many battles I had until the soul was finally freed. And so now he would come into the body now, because now the spirit and the soul is making union together, and so he's coming into the body, and I'm still like just sucking the light every time, because now when you become illuminated, you start shining, your light. So he would just come suck the light out, and then I would just constantly just be feeling just drained. And then then the feelings that I had when I was younger, about the death feeling came back again. So then I said, you know what, I'm going to have to face this death thing. So I asked what happened, I asked the question, what happened when we have to leave the body, and what happened, what is this death thing, and what does it mean that it's obsessing about me right now. And then that was when I had that experience of exactly what happened. So this is how I learned of what happened when the spirit is leaving the body. I had the whole experience. The spirit left the body. I turned around and I looked at the body, and there was a sadness because I knew that I was leaving the body. And I went to New York to go see my daughter, but I, telling her that I was leaving, and was asking a friend of mine to watch over her for me, and so when I came back to the body, and this was when the whole experience happened of when I was shown an experience, like the what comes and pull the prana from the body. Because once the prana leaves, then you no longer have the breath that's holding you here. And so I learned about that, and learned about what happened, and I saw it. So the self Supreme Primalite has been showing me and teaching me whenever I ask a question. She was responding to me, but the problem was I did not know who was who. And I never knew it was a self-supreme Primalite that was teaching and sharing and showing me all of these lessons that she wanted for me to learn. It was very tough lessons. And I remember I was going through a really tough time. I moved from Atlanta, and I came back to Dallas, and I was doing some jobs. And I was actually rented a room from a friend of mine, and it was me and my son. So I gave him the room, and the closet was big. So I was actually living in the closet and just laying on a mat on the floor. And my head, and it actually, when that thing happened, my head was actually turned to the south. Then I realized that I wasn't supposed to sleep with my head to the south, to either to the east or the west. And so I was laying down, and then then I hear the voice says to me, if you are God, do what you say you would do. And I said, I never said I was God. And what does that mean anyway? What did I say I would do? And so this puzzled me, because every time before I come into the body, like just in the when I was just about to open my eyes, this is when I would always get the message. The self would speak to me. And I said, what does that mean? If you are God, do what you say you would do. And what did I say I would do? And so so this was the question that I needed to ask myself. So I said, what did I say that I would do? And so for a while I kept asking, what did I say that I would do? Because I did not know. I said, reveal to me what I said, what I said that I would do, because I don't know what I said that I would do. And I understood I never wanted any kind of connection with the gods, because I had a negative connotation about them. And the self was saying to me, if you are God, do what you say you would do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, okay, I never said I was God, because I denounce all gods. But I did not really understand what God meant, because God just means that you are a duality being, that you are in an awareness of yourself, and you're in an awareness of your light. You are the Supreme Self in a duality form. That's all it means. It means that you are the Supreme Primalite, but you are in duality, fractalized, and you're not in awareness of the Supreme Primalite, not in awareness of your light. That's what God means. And so I later on found out what the true meaning of God was. And so after that, I said, okay, then I need that. This is what I need to be self-inquiring about what I said that I would do, because I could not recall what it was that I would do. And so I said to myself, okay, I am done being afraid. I'm done being afraid. I am going to do 21 days. And this was when I still, even though I had woken the great I am, I did not know what the steps and levels were, what I was supposed to do. But I was still inquiring. And each time, I would get a new question that I needed to ask myself. And so this is how that I was being guided from inwards to know like what to ask. And so I said, okay, then I am going to face whatever it is. I'm going to stop being afraid, because I'm going to do 21 days, make a vow of silence to myself. And I told the boys, and I wrote it on a paper, put it on my door. So I would just get up, make their food, and write notes to them, and then let them know that, no, don't disturb me. For 21 days, I just get up every day, make their food, write them notes, and would leave them notes, greet them, bow to them, those kind of things, but always in silence. It was never using my voice. And I said, at the end of this 21 days, I must come to the truth. I must come to the real. And I must know what it is that I said that I would do, that I am not doing. And so this was when now I the guru helped to pull to give up the ego, because I was giving up the ego. I did not want to have to take this journey into the ego any longer. I wanted only to know the self, and only to walk journey with the self, and not as the ego. So you have to make this vow. So I made the vow that I no longer wanted to walk the route with the ego. To be an individual, I wanted to return to my true self. I wanted to know the truth. I wanted to know what I said I would do, and what this destiny that I was destined for. And so that was the whole meditation for that 21 days. And before the end of the 21 days, the ego was returned, and this is how I became illuminated. I became awake from the dream, and this is when now all the gods came. All the gods come, because now your light is shining, and everybody is coming to see who has awakened. And so, this is how I learned that what the gods were doing they would come and steal your light. When someone would come awake, they would come to possess you and take your light and keep you in bondage. And so this was what they've been doing for a long time. And Seth was doing this because this was who I was battling with for ages, because he told me that he was telling me that he was my brother, and I did not understand it. And so after the 21 days, before the end of the 21 days, I learned that I learned who I had come as, in the ancient times. I came as King Tut. I came as Solomon, the King Solomon, and I came first as Isis. And 2 other lifetimes I learned about. I was also I was in the Middle East before I came into Jamaica, and I was blown up in the Middle East, and then in India I had an accident when I jumped into the river and I drowned. And so now I understood why I was so terrified of water. I was terrified of water, and I never could understand why why I was so terrified of water for such a long time. And then I understood why, because the self was helping me to understand why I had all of these things in the mental body. It was still there, causing me pain and trauma. And I was explaining to me why I was having the foot thing, the knee thing, was because that it was in the memory of the mental body, and it was being carried down from ancient Egypt, from the thing. There was another thing with my navel that I was having, and that again was being from a spear that was injured from King Solomon. So the self actually showed me, like all of these visions, of me in these lifetime with the things happening. Because I said I want to show it to me as a witness, so I can view it, like you're watching a movie. And so so that was what was shown to me through those lifetimes. So then I kind of understand why I was having these issues from childhood and didn't understand, because they were in my mental body and was affecting me still. And so and then I understand another thing about that, what I needed to do, because I had made a promise when I came as King Tut that I would restore balance to the world, because I would face Set. But that never happened, because Set defeated me so then this is when I learned what it is that I said that I would do, that I would help to restore balance to the world, with my awakeness. When I awake, I would help to restore balance to the world, because that means I would have to face Set. So this is why he has been chasing me for all these lifetimes. And so I had to face Set and his sidekick, which was, I can never pronounce his name correctly. If it's Thor, Thought. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I must look it up to see, because they never wanted for me to look up or read up anything Egyptian, because I was looking up to see what was on, and they would come and fight with me. I could not read anything that was Egyptian. And so up until now, I just never bothered delve to find out, even though I'm not battling with Set at the moment. It's me and the consciousness now. So I never really delve in to find out more about a lot of these things. I just know like some basic things. But and I never like asked the self to show me any more visions of, of things that happen. So I said I just wanted to accomplish this mission here, this destiny that I am supposed to do right now. So this is my testimony. This is my truth of what happened, the real thing, because we're inside of a dream. The Supreme is dreaming up this world, and it's a duality. She has transformed herself into duality consciousness, and into all of the beings that are here is all of the Supreme Self. Myself and you, it's all the Supreme. She has transformed herself into all of these disguises, and we don't recognize her, we don't recognize ourselves, and this is the problem, false self-identification. And this was what I realized, that because of this, it has created a mental sickness within the minds of consciousness, because the self and consciousness is indivisible. And this was what I realized, because it's indivisible, it's never supposed to be separated. And the Supreme separate herself and disconnect all the replicas from the light. And from that, this is where the chaos happened. Because she comes into the world to explore and to learn about the self and all aspects of the duality. But, this is what happened in the duality. And so now is the time for us to move from the duality to learn now to explore our real self into the light, so we can move into being light beings. Okay, so that has been my experience, and me walking and communicating with the Supreme on a daily basis, on the Supreme Self, because this is myself, this is yourself in the Supreme Primalite Self form, and this is the Supreme Primalite Self in this form here, and so it's amazing to be able to connect with yourself and know the truth that you have to give up the ego. You can no longer walk in the ego and connect with yourself. You have to give the ego up so that you can, connect with your real self, the true self. And so this is just something about my journey. I mean, I haven't really given any full details, but this is just something so that you kind of get an understanding of what this journey has been like. And it has been a very, very challenging journey. I was very, very terrified of the beings, because they were scary and they were magnetic, and I did not see them as myself. But I had to learn to see them as myself in ignorance, because they are our self, and the gods are our self, but they are in the ego, exploring only as 100% ego, while the Primalite self here is exploring only in 50% ego. We have the God that is sleeping within, which is only in 50% ignorance, because the soul is awake, so that's what gives us the light. And because they are 100% sleeping, they don't have a witness watching over them. That's why they are all ego. And we don't know ourselves, and because we don't know ourselves, we have mistaken them, because they have told us lie that they created us. Their mind is very devious. They're always planning to hold the self here so that they can just keep in desires, in rape and sex, and all of these things comes from them, and all the pleasures and all these things. That's what they do, because they're always when they come, they're always trying to rape me. This is a big thing for them, because what I did not know was that when you have an orgasm, this is the other way of how we create electricity. So when you have an orgasm, you're creating electricity, and that's what they want. So this is the reason why they always, people always like going out and they're invoking them, and they're dancing with them, and then they're doing all these pleasure, sexual things with them because of that. And they're having like sex with each other, man and man, woman and woman, all together in one big group. Because when the beings come and take over them, that's what they do. Because when you have that orgasm, you're producing electricity, and that's what they want. They want the light. And so, because I have the Self Supreme with me, and I have the Supreme Self because I'm connected, this allow for them not to take over me. They are still battling, but they hasn't taken over. You know, they'll push their magnetic energy through my arm, through my foot, just through my body, trying to just like hurt me, and it's very painful. But the Self Supreme Primalite is balancing it out, because she is the neutral self. She doesn't have any charge. They are the positive charge, and we are the negative charge. So the Primalite self, all the Primalite selves are the negative charge, and the gods them out in the world with bodiless, they are the positive charge. They are positive charge. We are negative charge. The Primalite has no charge, so she's the neutral self, and so she goes in and neutralizes the electrical, the magnetic energy that they're putting to the body. Sometimes it's very, very painful, but you know, and for many times, for hours and hours, I'm walking around in a circle, banging the bowl on my head. This bowl, putting the bowl up and banging it on my head, walking around in a circle. Cause when consciousness goes into the head, it does not like this vibration, and I have to bang the bowl like really hard. The other vibration, that the frequency that they don't like, is the C, but because of my frequency is a little bit higher now, I can't use the C because it knocks out the consciousness, my consciousness, out also. So I can only like hit it like maybe one time or two times. But this is a E frequency that I use, but it's not. The C is stronger for them because they don't like that frequency, but it's not good for me to do it because my frequency is higher than that frequency, and so it's knocking out my consciousness. So that's why I can't do it as often. But I used to be able to do it, you know, and I used to be able to get them out of the head when I use it. But now that I got the frequency higher, then it yeah. So that has been just some of my experience, and that is my truth. Because people don't really want to know the truth; they just want to follow a dogma. And I'm like, I know that the gods have been programmed into us that we have to fear them because they had to use fear to control us. All right, but you just have to remember that they are yourself. They are the other aspect of yourself. They are in ignorance. They are ego 100%. They are not connected to the light, to the heart, nothing. So this is the reason why they cannot have, their emotions cannot be balanced. It's only about what they want, and that's why they can be angry and mad and instill fear in us, And so sometimes they find their primalite half, and they know it, and then they are very generous to them, and that person becomes the one that goes seeking others for them, other soul, and things like that, and do the gatherings where they get all the people to come in, and where they can take that people's soul and do all these sexual things and all these things. So I know there's a lot of these things that's going on, but if you want to experience yourself, that is aspect of yourself, but it's the ego. So because your real self is sleeping, and the ego just wants the pleasures and desires of sex and stuff. It's not the truth. It's just all illusion. So don't chase that. Just tap into yourself and wake up the sleeping self, the great I am, your God self. Because the God that you seek is actually inside us sleeping. And you're not seeking the God outside of you. You have to merge with what you have in the body. This is what you do. And because they have their own destiny, and you have a destiny that you have to fulfill. And you have to fulfill to free yourself from all destinies, because you're under a contract. You came in here under a contract. It's like you were hired to go do a job, and when you go, you got distracted and doing all these things, and you're not doing the job that you were hired to do, you know. And so you're negating on your contract, and so you have to fulfill your contract so you can be free from the contract that you signed. And once you free yourself from the contract, then Primal Light will allow you to rise up in the new world that's being built. Otherwise, you will not rise up in the new balanced world, so you can experience the new world. So you want to know what your destiny is, why you came here, what you wrote out in your destiny. So you want to do that. And so that's what I had to learn. I had to learn what my destiny was, what I wrote out that I would do, what did I say that I would do, and to accomplish the task, even though it has been very challenging because I'm constantly battling with the self, the ego. I'm battling with the ego, the consciousness, every single day. And when I speak, it doesn't want me to speak, and so sometimes it chokes me up when I'm trying to sing it. That's why my songs are not sounding right, because every time I'm trying to sing, it's trying to mess my voice up, choke me. Many times I lose the voice, and so it has been a battle like that. When it's always putting its energy to trying to stop me, trying to block me. Like right now, it's in the head, doing all these things. And so I'm going to have to start hitting the bowl on the head to get out of the head. And so it's just been a daily like that for me for a long time now, for such a long time now. Yeah, so so I thank you for joining me. I just wanted to share some of this with you, so that you can get an understanding of, some of the things, of the truth of some of the things that happened throughout my journey, to come into the truth and come into my self-realization, and, to know who I am and to know my truth. Thank you so much.